The bell!
A chill in the air. Flickering lights. The tolling of the bell.
Do you think it's...
Ghost! Run for your life! Start, you blasted car!
Why are we not moving, Musket?
Because out of that long line of automobiles on Delancey Street, you decided to steal something less reliable than a politician's promise! Start, you rust bucket!
It started, Musket.
There we go. And now, we floor it.
We crashed, Musket.
I can see that we crashed, Morris. Well, there's only one thing we can do.
What's that, boss?
Run for our lives!
Scattered throughout the church were the rum runners' barrels, each filled with illicit alcohol. I didn't need any more rum. Now wasn't the time for a sit-down. The window was even more beautiful in person, adorning the altar below it like a crown. And that's when I noticed something. Below the window was a cross-shaped indentation in the wood that made me think something was missing. A crucifix-shaped indentation was carved into the wooden surface. Taking the book, I realized it was an old Bible, with a thicker layer of dust than a nudist's summer wardrobe. I decided to leave the fan running. I picked up the starter crank from the jalopy seat. I didn't need to drive the car. The crank slid into the gear mechanism perfectly. I'd heard of throwing a coin down a well to make a wish, but never of throwing yourself down. I just had to hope a 30-year-old rope could still hold my weight. With some luck, I found I'd landed on a metal platform jutting out into the hollow of the well. Clearly, I wasn't the first person to come down here, although the previous visitor might have arrived here more gracefully. I picked up the rope and the spindle it was attached to. It was a small matchbook with the logo of the Captain's Club. Unless I planned on jumping even further down into the well, the alcove looked like the only route out. But as I ran my hands over the bumps in the darkness, I couldn't find anything but cold, wet stone. If there was something there, I'd need some illumination to find it. The light from a match was going to be too dim and too quick burning to properly examine what lay in the darkness. I needed to think bigger. I needed to think of something else. I would have burned my hand if I lit the greasy rag while holding it. The instructions on the fireworks said that it needed to be placed into a launching tube before igniting it. I didn't need to tie that up. Knowing how flammable the grease-soaked cotton would be, I wrapped it around the spindle to form a rudimentary torch. I didn't need to tie that up. I didn't need to tie that up. I took a match out of the matchbook, careful not to drop it onto the wet floor, and ignited the torch. The torch burned brightly, dancing light into the formerly dark alcove, and that's when I saw it. Hidden within the rock face was a small metal box with a button on it. I pressed the button and immediately heard the sound of sparking electricity, seemingly coming from within the rocks themselves, and then the passageway meandered like a labyrinth through the underground rock. With each step, I felt more and more lost and ready to turn back. Then up ahead, I saw a glimmer of light. A small metal bridge crossed a chasm in the tunnel's floor. I looked into the chasm, but all I could see were jagged rocks, darkness, and numerous health and safety concerns. I'd already risked my life traversing the caves once. I wasn't about to head back into them. What I was after lay ahead of me. The top of the stairs appeared to be a dead end, but the wooden board blocking my way and the muffled sounds of electricity suggested there was more to this passageway than met the eye. I placed my hands on the obstruction and pushed. I emerged into a dimly lit office that seemed to have been taken over by frighteningly active machinery, and from the familiar groaning of wood, I realized where I was. Cecil Belmore's skeleton lay hunched over his desk, a knife still in his back. I solved your treasure hunt, Cecil. I hope you don't mind me taking this as my reward.
So you are the mortal who is trying to find the lost treasure of Belmore Manor before me.
Rackham!
You know who I am. Surely you must also know that you have started down a foolish path. It will only end in your death, Murphy McCallan.
I know all about your plan, Rackham.
My plan will succeed with or without your interference. I'm afraid you're making a terrible mistake, McCallan. For your own sake, I suggest you leave this island for good.
Never. Whether you like it or not, I'm part of this story now too.
Don't let it be said I didn't warn you. If you're so interested in being friends with the dead, perhaps it's time you joined them. Just as Cecil Belmore's blood poured from his body, so shall yours.
Rackham's telekinetic powers had dropped me onto the mill's conveyor belt. My wrists and ankles now tied with the same wire that was strewn about the mill, but at least the buzzsaw wasn't on. And then it got even worse. With inches to spare, the belt snagged on the warping wooden frame and gave me a chance of escape, acutely aware that it could catch again any moment and send me hurtling into the spinning blade. Boards on either side of the conveyor belt stopped me from being able to roll off. I considered touching the spinning blade, but I was quite attached to my hands, and I wanted to keep it that way. With my hands and feet bound, I couldn't reach my belongings. I couldn't do that. That didn't work. That didn't work. I needed to think of something else. That wasn't going to work. The buzzsaw spun so fast it was a blur, but I remembered every one of those jagged teeth and what they'd do to my body if I got too close. No matter how hard I pulled, I couldn't snap it. No matter how hard I pulled, I couldn't snap it. No matter how hard I pulled, I couldn't snap it. Nope. I needed to think of something else. Carefully, I held the wire wrapped around my wrists against the spinning blade. It cut through them like butter, just like it would do to me if I couldn't get my ankles free. No matter how hard I pulled, I couldn't snap it. I didn't have the maneuverability to roll off a conveyor belt with my ankles tied, let alone contort my body enough to reach the buzzsaw with them. That didn't work. That didn't work. That didn't work. I didn't have the maneuverability to roll off a conveyor belt with my ankles tied, let alone contort my body enough to reach the buzzsaw with them. Jamming the shovel into the spinning metal blade didn't seem like a good idea. That wasn't going to work. The buzzsaw spun so fast it was a blur, but I remembered every one of those jagged teeth and what they'd do to my body if I got too close. No matter how hard I pulled, I couldn't snap it. I didn't have the maneuverability to roll off the conveyor belt with my ankles tied, let alone contort my body. With seconds left, I hacked into the wires with the scissors and just managed to cut through them. With my legs free, I swung myself off the conveyor belt. I had survived being cut in half, and now I had Cecil's key. It didn't feel right pulling the dagger from the skeleton. I didn't want to interfere with the skeleton any more than I had to. Despite my efforts, I couldn't find a way to open the bookcase passage from this side. Horror novels had told me that one of the shelved books might be a secret lever, but if there was one, I couldn't find it. The scrawls looked like the writings of a madman. I could identify words in Latin and strange occult symbols, but pieced together, they looked like they'd only have meaning to their author. So this was the generator that the water wheel was powering. This was what was bringing the spark of life to Cecil's experiments. So this was the generator that the water wheel was powering.